ballot item number 45, Order M112, second reading of Bill 112, an act to amend the Government Advertising Act 2004. Ms. Jones.
The member from Dufferin-Caledon.
Thank you, Speaker. I move second reading of Bill 112, an act to amend the Government Advertising Act 2004.
Ms. Jones has moved second reading of Bill 112, an act to amend the Government's Advertising Act 2004. Pursuant to Standing Order 98, the member has 12 minutes for her presentation.
Speaker, first and foremost, I want to thank my colleague from Parry Sound, Muskoka, Norm Miller, and his staff, Hannah and Leslie, for their assistance in researching and drafting Bill 112. Norm offered this private member's bill to me so that we could debate this issue now. And we all know why we want to debate it now. Sure do. That is, of course, the famous hydro vanity ads. In 2015, no press releases were issued, no media announcements were made, but the Liberal government made numerous amendments to the Government Advertising Act of 2004. Some of these amendments changed rules regarding the Auditor General's review of government advertising. The previous legislation required the Auditor General to review most government advertising and issue, if it was not partisan, a formal approval prior to the ads being aired. The changes the Liberal government made turned the Auditor General into a, quote, rubber stamp for the government's advertising campaigns. To quote the Auditor General, "We found the old standards useful and effective in our review process to promote transparency and accountability in government advertising. These standards also helped ensure that items provided useful information and did not unduly promote the governing party or criticize its opponents." The Auditor General goes on to say, "We believe their primary purpose is to promote the government's partisan political interests or give the government credit for its accomplishments, rather than inform citizens." Now, Speaker, let's remember the Premier's promised to be the most open and transparent government in Canada. Unfortunately, the Premier's actions do not match their words. The Speaker, it is clear that the government's decision to water down the Auditor General's oversight has repercussions. The Auditor has commented on a variety of examples of the government using public money for partisan purposes. We all know the most recent example of the hydro vanity ads. The government has spent nearly $1 million in a last-ditch attempt to prop up their floundering polling numbers. The minister likes to defend these ads by saying they help people plan for the rate decrease. Well, if that's the case, where were the ads informing people of the 400% increase? Surely Ontarians would have liked some warning that they would need to choose between heating and eating. Surely Ontario's hospitals would have liked some warning that their hydro rates would take a larger percentage of their operating budgets. Or maybe the government should have advertised that they are considering closing down 600 schools. The reality is that Ontarians see right through these Liberal talking points. These ads don't pass the smell test. Ontarians want the government to respect their tax dollars, not prop up the Liberal Party. Importantly, the Auditor General, when speaking on those hydro ads, said, under the previous legislation, it would likely not have passed because it does not convey a positive impression of the current government and it's more like a pat-on-the-back type of advertisement. That is not the member from Dufferin-Caledon. That is the Auditor General. The most recent example of the hydro ad is not the only example of government using taxpayer dollars on advertising that would not have been approved by the Auditor General under the previous rules. The government spent $8.1 million promoting the ORPP, including during the federal election campaign. And following the cancellation of the ORPP, the government spent another $800,000 on radio ads promoting the federal CPP. On those ads, the Auditor General said, quote, "When we look at those ads, we wouldn't have approved them because they don't provide any information to the public that they need to know." Another example is a series of ads, including the ads featuring David Suzuki, which cost Ontarian taxpayers nearly $6 million over 2 years. The Auditor General called these ads, quote, "misleading and self-congratulatory." Another would be the infrastructure ads, which again the Auditor General called self-congratulatory and aimed at ensuring that the government gets credit for its potential future spending plans. They haven't even built it, and they're promoting it through ads. Since the Liberals removed the Auditor General Oversight, they are now openly using taxpayer dollars to boost the Liberal Party brand. We also know that since that change, the government made a substantial increase in their advertising spending from $30 million to $50 million. Let me be clear, not all government advertising is bad. We are not proposing to stop the government from sharing important information with the public. But these hydro vanity ads show why the government's removal of the Auditor General's oversight is wrong. The hydro ads do not have a real action item. Ontarians don't need to go to a website to sign an application, to fill out a form. These millions of dollars on these ads could have been spent on other causes which Ontarians need to know about. Hear, hear. It could have been spent on campaign telling Ontarians about how to recognize the signs of human trafficking or how to deal with the fentanyl crisis. This information that could have saved lives, but instead it is helping the Premier's re-election campaign. That is unacceptable, and it must stop. Another important note is that this piggybacking that is occurring between the Liberal Party and the Ontario government ads. And, Speaker, I'm not sure if the rules of the standing orders allow me to table documents as a member of opposition, but it's very telling when you actually compare what the government ads are saying and what the Liberal Party is walking around in terms of brochures. Methinks the similarities are a little too close. If we had the AG's oversight, as we had for almost 10 years, this would not be happening. It's inappropriate, people see through it, and it must stop. The similarities between the government ad campaign and the Liberal Party brochure is unsettling and eerily similar. These ads are similar, and it blurs the line between the government and the Liberal Party. Ontarians expect better of their government. I also want to draw to your attention the fact that this issue is a total flip-flop from the Liberal members opposite. You may remember a Liberal campaign promise made in 2004 where they extolled the virtues of banning government vanity ads. At that time, then Kathleen Wynne candidate criticized the, quote, dissemination of partisan hollow advertising masquerading as information. Then, Deputy Premier Deb Matthews, then candidate Deb Matthews, also criticized partisan government advertising, saying, quote, it is outrageous to me that government spent on what are, in essence, political pieces. I guess, what's that line? That was then, this is now? So what's changed? What's changed, Speaker? It appears that the Premier will only maintain those principles when they are convenient. It is clear that these ads and the Premier's stance on the Auditor General's oversight is not about the well-being of Ontario, but the well-being of the Ontario Liberal Party. But it's not too late. The Premier and the Liberal caucus can do the right thing. When you support Bill 112, you will be sending a clear message that you understand there is a clear and distinct difference between Ontario Liberal Party advertising and Ontario government advertising. You can change course and support Bill 112. I urge the Premier to stop wasting taxpayers' dollars, start prioritising the interests of Ontario residents over the Ontario Liberal Party, and support Bill 112. Thank you.
Well done.
Thank you. Further debate. I